Chapter 1, The Outsider, New to the Aristocratic Circle. In September at Madison's St. Andrew's Academy, the air reeked of wealth and privilege. The school gate was lined with limited edition Porsches and Maseratis. Students in custom-tailored uniforms stepped out of the cars, their family crests embroidered on the cuffs glinting in the sun, symbols of Wisconsin's old money elite. Ella stood among the crowd with a faded canvas backpack slung over her shoulder, like a dandelion that had strayed into a rose garden. Half a year ago, when she arrived as St. Andrew's first fully funded student, everyone had waited to see her make a fool of herself. Some bet she wouldn't last a week, others claimed she'd end up like other poor students, retreating in humiliation under the cold stares of the aristocrats. But 6 months later, Ella not only stayed, she thrived in this circle. Ella, run an errand for me. Here's a /20 deposit. Just as she reached the classroom building, Master Taylor from Class 1, Grade 11, caught up and handed her a banknote. This so-called errand service was a special business Ella had built at the academy, helping lazy young masters and ladies buy coffee, deliver documents, charging /20 per task. She was extremely efficient and never made a mistake. Ella took the money and tucked it into the inner pocket of her backpack. What do you need? A Black Forest cake from that Swiss pastry shop at the gate, freshly made, delivered to the classroom within 20 minutes. After speaking, Taylor turned and walked back to the classroom, his custom leather shoes clicking sharply against the marble floor. Ella checked her watch and hurried toward the school gate. On the way, she passed a group of girls gossiping about the new transfer students, their tones dripping with contempt. I heard 3 funded students are coming this time. Wonder if they'll be like Ella, doing anything for money. Who knows? Poor people are born without dignity. Look at Ella, she even takes errand jobs. She's a disgrace to St. Andrew's. Ella didn't pause, as if she hadn't heard a word. She was, long since, used to such whispers. Compared to so-called dignity, she needed money far more. Her mother was still lying in Madison Memorial Hospital, and the daily hospital fees were no small expense. Just after buying the cake, her phone rang. It was Noah. Ella, where are you? Hurry to the classroom, Ethan's throwing another fit, saying you're ignoring him. Noah's voice sounded helpless, but Ella was used to it. Ethan was the son of a school board member. He had a quirky temper, yet he reserved a special attention for her, bringing her Starbucks breakfast every morning, lending her the latest iPad, and even quietly coming to her rescue when others picked on her. But this young master's way of showing care was peculiar. If Ella so much as seemed to neglect him, he'd throw a tantrum like a child. I'll be right there. I'm bringing Taylor his cake. Ella hung up and quickened her pace toward the classroom. As soon as she walked in, she saw Ethan sitting at his desk, brows furrowed and jaw tight, like a wronged child. When he spotted Ella, his eyes lit up for a moment, but he quickly turned his head and let out a cold snort. Noah sat beside him and winked at Ella, signaling her to come over quickly. Ella handed the cake to Taylor, then walked over to Ethan and placed a freshly bought hot cocoa on his desk. Quit sulking. Didn't I tell you this morning I had to buy the cake? Ethan's expression softened a little, but he still didn't speak. He just picked up the hot cocoa and took a sip. Noah leaned over with a smile. Only you can handle him. This kid only listens to you. Ella didn't reply. She pulled a stack of notes from her backpack and set them on the desk. These were her top student notes, each detailing key class points, explanations of difficult concepts, and even problem-solving strategies for AP courses. Priced at $80 each, they were still snapped up by the young masters and ladies. These are last week's physics notes. Anyone who wants one, come get them, only 3 left. As soon as Ella finished speaking, several students swarmed over, and the notes were gone in an instant. Ella, these notes are totally worth it. I got a 90 on my physics exam thanks to them, and my dad rewarded me with a mountain bike. a boy exclaimed. In Wisconsin, mountain bikes were one of the favorite outdoor gear among wealthy teens. Ella smiled but said nothing. She knew these young masters and ladies didn't care about the money. What they were buying was a shortcut to easily pass their exams. And she just happened to be the one providing that shortcut. Chapter 2, The New Rival. The bell rang, and the homeroom teacher walked into the classroom with a girl. The girl wore a simple white dress, with a small braid woven into her hair. She had a delicate face and clear, innocent eyes, like a frightened fawn. Hello everyone, my name is Lena. Starting today, I'll officially be part of St. Andrews. I hope we can be friends. Lena bowed slightly, her voice soft and tinged with timidity. However, only scattered applause rippled through the classroom. There were no catcalls, no initiative to greet her. The students of St. Andrews were long accustomed to meeting outsiders with indifference, especially scholarship students like Lena. In their eyes, these students who relied on financial aid were merely names on their families' charity lists. Lena stood on the podium, fingers tightly twisting the hem of her dress, her face turning pale. She had originally thought that getting into St. Andrews through her excellent grades would earn her respect, but reality had slapped her hard. The homeroom teacher told her to find an empty seat. Lena hesitated for a moment, then walked over to the empty seat next to Ella. She glanced at the iPad on Ella's desk, then at the notebook in her own hand, her eyes filled with complexity. That latest model iPad was something she couldn't even dream of owning. Lena didn't absorb a single thing during the class. St. Andrew's teaching pace was fast, and the teachers' teaching methods were completely different from those at the public school she'd attended in Milwaukee. Adding to that the strange looks from her classmates around her, she couldn't focus at all. As soon as the bell rang, Lena saw several girls gather around her, their tones teasing. Lena, your skin is so nice. Which spa do you go to? Lena shook her head shyly. I've never been to a spa. It's just natural. In truth, she and her mother went to the community's free skincare center every month, but in front of these aristocratic students, she didn't want to admit that she also pursued such things. Oh, natural beauty? How enviable, one girl said, curling her lips in obvious disbelief. At St. Andrews, no one believed in naturally good skin, they only knew the magic of top-tier skincare products and spas. Just then, someone called out, Ella, and everyone's attention shifted to her. Ella had just returned from the teacher's office, holding a stack of forms in her hand. We need to fill out the AP course selection forms. I'll write the precautions on the blackboard. Come ask me if you don't understand anything. Also, the start of semester exam is next Thursday and Friday. Anyone who fails will have to retake the course, so study hard. Ella's voice was calm, yet it carried a convincing authority. Lena looked at Ella, a flicker of resentment rising in her heart. She hadn't expected that this fellow-funded student would be so popular at St. Andrews. She had even become the class monitor. She stood up, mustering her courage to ask, Ella, what do you mean by that? I'm a funded student, but I got here through my own abilities. I'm no different from all of you. The classroom fell silent instantly, and everyone turned to look at them. Noah raised an eyebrow, his tone laced with sarcasm. No different? I don't think so. Do you really believe everything we have is just from our parents? Then why can't your parents afford private school tuition? Was it because they didn't want to? Lena was left speechless, her eyes instantly welling up with tears. I just think that even if I'm a funded student, I deserve respect. You're lucky to be born with good resources, but there are so many people out there who can barely afford to eat. Are they just not working hard enough? Ella sighed inwardly. Lena was too naive. Talking about respect and fairness at St. Andrews was the most ridiculous thing imaginable. These aristocrats seemed elegant on the surface, but they were cold at heart. Their sponsorship of poor students was nothing more than a human nature observation game for Wisconsin's upper class. They wanted to watch these people struggle and embarrass themselves. Ella clapped her hands, breaking the awkward silence. All right, I'll pass out the forms. Everyone fill them out and hand them to me before lunch. Lena, the teacher asked me to show you around the campus. I'll take you for a walk during the long break. Lena sat down and took the form Ella handed her, but her resentment only grew stronger. She thought Ella was deliberately showing off her status, and even her look at Ella was tinged with hostility. Chapter 3, The Clear-Minded Mastermind. During the long break, Ella took Lena on a tour of the campus. St. Andrews was enormous, with 2 standard playgrounds, 2 indoor gymnasiums, 3 libraries with impressive collections, 5 cafeterias with distinct styles, and exclusive venues for interest clubs like equestrian and ice hockey, all standard features of Wisconsin's top private schools. Lena followed behind Ella, staring at the luxurious surroundings, her heart filled with a mix of envy and jealousy. Ella, you're a funded student too, right? You seem really close to them. Lena couldn't help but ask. I transferred here in the 2nd semester of 10th grade. My situation is a bit different. Ella didn't elaborate. She didn't want others to know about her mother's illness. In this circle, vulnerability would only become a target for others to attack. But Lena wouldn't let it go. Since you're a funded student too, your family must not be well off either. But you use an iPad to take notes just like them. Where did you get it? It looks like the latest model, too. Ella stopped in her tracks and turned to look at Lena. Ethan lent it to me. The teaching pace here is too fast. Handwriting notes wastes too much time. Using a tool like this makes me more efficient. Don't you feel like you're sacrificing your dignity by using things they gave you out of pity? Lena's tone was accusatory, as if Ella had done something shameful. Ella smiled, pulled out her phone, opened the banking app, and showed Lena the balance on the screen. The number was enough to shock an average high school student. Dignity can't put food on the table, but this can. My mom is still in the hospital, and I need money, lots of it. To survive here, you have to learn to adapt to the rules, or even become the one making them. Lena froze. She had never imagined Ella would have so much money. Do you think I take errand jobs and sell top student notes for fun? I'm not currying favor with them, I'm making money. Ethan helps me, Noah looks out for me, not because I'm pitiful, but because I have value to them. I can help them pass their AP exams, and take care of trivial things they're too lazy to do. Ella's voice was calm, yet it carried a maturity beyond her years. This sponsorship here is just a game for the upper class. They want to watch us struggle and embarrass ourselves, but I refuse to play along. Now, I can not only earn money for my mom's treatment, but also decide who gets to buy my notes and whose errands I'll run. I've already become the mastermind of this game. Looking at Ella, Lena suddenly felt a twinge of fear. She had originally thought Ella was a spineless poor student, but in reality, Ella was clear-headed and stronger than anyone else. Just then, Ella's phone rang. It was Samuel. Samuel was a mysterious young noble in Wisconsin. No one knew his true identity, only that his family owned vast businesses in Chicago and Madison. He had recently hired Ella as a tutor at a high rate, 3 times a week, 2 hours each time, with a salary equal to what an average person earns in a month, to help his younger sister with AP biology. Ella, the tutoring time tonight stays the same. I'll wait for you at the school gate. Samuel's voice was deep and gentle. Ella hung up the phone and said to Lena, the tour's over. Go back to the classroom, I have other things to do. Lena watched Ella's departing figure, her heart a jumble of emotions. She suddenly realized that the gap between her and Ella wasn't just in their family backgrounds, but in their mindsets. While she was still struggling with dignity and fairness, Ella had already seen through the game's rules and become the one controlling them. When Lena returned to the classroom, she stared at the course selection form on her desk, suddenly feeling lost. She didn't know what her future at St. Andrews would hold, or if she could ever thrive in this game of stark class differences like Ella did. As for Ella, after hanging up on Samuel, she received another call from the hospital. The doctor said her mother's condition was stable. With continued treatment, she would be able to leave the hospital soon. Ella let out a sigh of relief, a rare smile tugging at the corner of her lips. She knew her journey at St. Andrews was still long, and she would face more challenges and doubts. But she wasn't afraid, because she knew exactly what she wanted and how to fight for it. In this human nature observation game of Wisconsin's upper class, she would never be a pawn to be manipulated, she would only be the mastermind controlling the whole game. As the sun set, Ella's shadow stretched long. She slung her canvas backpack over her shoulder and walked step by step toward the school gate, her eyes firm. The evening glow of Madison fell on her, as if paving a path of hope beneath her feet.